Hey guys, I'm doing a vlog in the car. Honestly, doing a vlog while you're walking is not the easiest thing to do, especially when you're like... I tried doing another vlog earlier yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I can't remember. And it's like, trying to basically do a vlog while you're walking is not like the easiest thing to do, especially when you're trying to keep your thoughts together. Especially when your mind is racing. So, I guess to start off, I'm thinking about, like, this is sort of a thing of this as a vlog / update. So, I've had ideas of what I wanted to do with my channel for a while now. As you guys can easily see, if you guys watch, I've been uploading like animations, like older animations from my from like 2010, 2000. Can't remember 2000. No. Actually, no. Wait. Some of the animations that I uploaded recently were like short bits and pieces from like 2012, 2013, 2014. I'm thinking about at least uploading some more animations, like in a style of like a compilation. Though it's going to be more or less a look back at old animations that I did, like in like 2007 up until like 2012, because I have like a lot of old animations that I did, because I would go into Flash every now and then, get Flash out, practice it. I tried looking at my files. I think I deleted a lot of my older files too. See, my experience with animation and trying to basically do animation was, I did like bits and pieces of animation and that was it. I wasn't like continuous. I wasn't always like working in Flash always. I just would like get out Flash, do something silly or minor, nothing serious, and then I would just put it down. Like I would just close Flash, not do anything with it for a long while. It wasn't until like 2010 when I kind of started to get serious, started learning some things I didn't know back then. Which, looking back, kind of wish I did more with Flash. If I actually had looked up tutorials that would have helped me. Because if I looked up like tools on how to basically use Flash, how to like understand how Flash works. See, I'm unfortunately a lazy person. And when it comes to like trying to learn new things, I guess part of it has to do with like, because I have like issues kind of paying attention to something for so long, and it's like, and I guess I have somewhat a short attention span, so it's like sitting down sometimes and trying to understand something is like not the way I learn stuff. But then I actually kind of got some tutorials that helped me quite a bit recently. I've been doing it more so often as of every now and then, and it's like learning something new in Flash, it kind of helps you a lot too, because it's like you're basically learning like different tools, different methods of like how to go about specific things. That's the interesting thing about learning Flash. I mean, and I learned some interesting things in Flash too, honestly. So I've been basically doing some practice every now and then. Like, if it wasn't for me learning about onion skin, layers and whatnot, and me taking advantage of using those layers, I think I would have not been able to... I want to say, like, I don't know. See, that's the thing, too, is that I've also been kind of an easily distracted person, too. Part of it was, like, I'll be like, oh, I want to do this, but then I'll, like, be on the internet for so long because I get so distracted, too. Man. I was the same way with YouTube videos, too, back then. I would want to do one thing, but then I'll be like, you know what? After done, like, searching for videos, I'll do that. And, I don't know, I was a very lazy person back then. Slowly trying to get out of that slump and trying to be more, active with doing stuff, honestly. And now that I don't have any college, I can easily, like, apply a lot of the things I learned about animation and whatnot to, at least from the tutorials, into the animation. I can try to do more animations now. Even when I get a job, I might, like, just because I don't think I'll have a lot to do at home when it comes to like working, depending on what job I get. I could easily like apply a lot of the shit that I learned into like my animation, and just apply a little bit more time into my, you know, working on different animations. I think I also need to work on a schedule too, because if I work on a schedule, I think it'll be easier for me to kind of get more stuff done. Man, I've had ideas of what kind of schedule I might give myself. Like on certain days, I'll probably work on like a specific video, I guess, and then like on other days, I might like just work on like just either a comic, because I've had ideas for also comics too. When you're a guy like me that has ideas constantly, it's like you're not sure where to go, where to start. And it's not like it's not an easy thing to like. I have to keep on changing my camera, but it's not an easy thing to kind of like. For at least for me, honestly, I'm not like a very organized person. I've never been so organized in my life, and you might need to. I've been saying I need to change that, but unfortunately, again, laziness. Man, what else? Drawing videos. Now, knowing how I could that's the thing, I might also be doing that too. I've been saying I might do that, but it's like, nothing's really come of that too, because again, laziness, and a lot of that stuff too. It's like, I could easily like dish out more videos if I just try to do different things, as well as like working on animations, because I think that, considering how YouTube is now with like how frequently you upload, how many minutes per video you put into like a video, it's like pretty much you have to like, and considering now YouTube's algorithm has changed. See, if I had like not been lazy several years ago and actually uploaded more frequently like animations and whatnot, like, I think I would have had better luck. But now that YouTube's algorithm has changed, they made it so like animators can't really, you know, get screwed over quite a bit, because it's like you have to basically, because if you want to be like a content creator on YouTube, and you want to be like a YouTube partner, you have to it's part of it is based on like ad revenue, you know, how many minutes your video is, and how much like money your video makes. YouTube's based on a lot on that, basically. And now, considering there's like, and it's gotten even harder too, because like you got like companies that are basically making cease and desists on different things. Honestly, it's gotten even harder for a lot of animators as well. And there's also the content ID, a lot of other stuff. Anyway, I guess another topic I wanted to talk about was Pokemon Prism. So, I've been a big Nintendo fan for years. I love Nintendo to death. So basically, let me just put this camera here. Yeah, I don't have a thing to put this camera on, but like, considering Nintendo is known for basically doing a lot of bullshit as of late. I mean, recently they've been taking down content. They've always been kind of like this, sort of, because I remember even back in 2003, I remember seeing a moment. There was a website where like this guy was basically showcasing like bootleg toys and games, basically, and pretty much, if I'm not mistaken, like he was, if I recall, he was basically showcasing like different bootleg toys from like Digimon, Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, but Nintendo gave him a cease and desist because they assumed that he was like selling toys, and he wasn't. He was just showcasing them, showing off like what kind of bootlegs existed. And as of late, they've been going after like ROM hacks, ROM websites like Cool ROM, and other places like that. Because Nintendo's been known for kind of doing this shit, unfortunately. Because as a lot of people have stated, Nintendo's very behind in the times when it comes to, like, their business practices, the way they go about stuff. Now, I'm not saying that emulation is the right thing to do, but if you're somebody that, that doesn't have enough money to basically go out and buy, like, $200 for a single game, some games basically are easier to basically emulate than to buy officially, especially considering some people don't want to even support Nintendo because their business practices are, like, the absolute worst as of late. Like, nobody bought the Wii U because that was poorly marketed, for example, and there was a lot of things that the Wii U didn't really have compared to the PS4 and Xbox One, even though nobody buys an Xbox One. The only thing the Wii U ever had was, like, if anything, what was it? It was basically, the only thing they ever had was, pretty much, like, exclusives. Certain exclusives that were based on their own IP. Not to mention, Nintendo is known for doing constant gimmicks. They were constantly making gimmicks. They were constantly making, this. There was a lot of things that they did that a lot of people weren't too happy with. Yeah, and not to mention, and I go also into, like, fan games. Fan games, there's been a lot of fan games that have been being taken down. Some of them actually were completed, if I'm not mistaken. Basically, what was it? When it comes to, like, there were certain games, like, what was it that was basically taken down? Now I have to remember. Pokemon Uranium. That was, like, the biggest example. That and Pokemon and Metroid, another Metroid 2 remake. Those two are the prime examples of games that were fan games that were taken down. And Adosa Buckley, unfortunately, is correct that, yeah, people do tend to use the excuse of, freedom of, what was it? Was it freedom of speech or fair use? Which, to be fair, I have to disagree a little bit with Adosa Buckley. Yeah, I mean, you are pretty much using Nintendo's content. You are using their property. But as far as I remember, they're not really dishing this out to... and that's the thing, too. You're basically, getting people their shit taken down because of the fact that, like... as far as I remember, I'm trying to remember now. I have to think. Oh, basically, okay. Yeah, you are using their property, but it's like, and they do have the right to take it down, but at the same time, they're not distributing it for, purchase. Nobody's getting money off of it. It's a fan game. They know that they can't sell it or reproduce it. I don't know, there's a lot of issues with the trademarking system, and even the copyright system is kind of bullshit at times, because it's like, there's a lot of loopholes that people tend to even use. I think at the same time, they did this because they're afraid that, with the release of Pokemon Prism, which also got taken down recently, there was a ROM hack of Pokemon Gold and Silver. But it's like, here's the thing. What Nintendo doesn't realize is that, these guys are basically trying to make, like, as far as I remember, like, tributes to actual franchises that these people they grew up with. These people are making, tributes to they're basically giving Nintendo, like, a shout out, if anything. I mean, and constantly, like, not to mention with, like, the Mother 3 fan translation, there's been a lot of fan translations as well that also got taken down by people like Square Enix. Though with Type 0, that kind of makes some sense, because it's like, and unfortunately there are people that are going to start, defending Nintendo Defense Force, as Review Tech USA, I don't watch him anymore, but, like, he used to constantly say, Nintendo Defense Force. Basically, You know, Square Enix is known for doing the same thing, as well as Hasbro. What people don't realize is that there's a lot of fan animations that keep on using, like... Because this is the same thing that I noticed, too. And then Hasbro's done this with, like, this one fan animation. What was it? Jan Animations, I remember, had to go through a lot of BS because of Hasbro. Because of the fact that Hasbro had taken down an animation that I think... what was his name? That Jan took. It was the Button Mash series. They took it down because it was and it wasn't even Hasbro themselves that did it. It was a lawyer that acted on Hasbro's behalf. And to be honest, Hasbro has had a history where they would take down like content and stuff like that because, like, for example, Adult Swim was taking old G.I. Joe, I think it was Adult Swim or this other dude, where he was basically taking old G.I. Joe clips and was dubbing over them. And Hasbro took those down because, well, it was because I think they gave it a cease and desist because of the fact that, like, the trademark system, their trademark. Again, the trademark system in America is very fucked, to be honest. And Nintendo's no different. And if anything, because that fan animation thing wasn't the only thing that they ever did. It was also the fighting game that was taken down, and that wasn't even like that wasn't even out for distribution. The only reason it ever got taken down was because of the fact that, like, when they basically took it to, what was that one event? I'm trying to remember now. There was that one event. It was the fighting game event that happens every year with Street Fighter. I'll remember it later. But basically, when they took it to that the fighting game event forced Hasbro to, like, do this donation for cancer. And Hasbro saw that and assumed that Fighting is Magic was taking money from it. And they took that down. This has always been going on with different companies. Certain companies have been always copyright Nazi, sort of, when it comes to that. Even Disney. Disney's known for doing that, too. Disney tries to take down a lot of parodies, a lot of things that make fun of its IP, because they're known for constantly protecting their brand. Evo, now I remember. It was, Fighting at Magic was at Evo, which is what, Evo was, like, the one that caused Hasbro to, like, to get it cease and desist. And it's not just that, it's like a lot of things that were going on. So, and Nintendo is no different. Yeah, I mean, what's kind of sad is that, yeah, Nintendo is very strict with their IP, very protective of their brand, much like Disney, much like Hasbro. And it sucks too. But unfortunately, we're going to have to accept the fact that Nintendo is very behind in the times. They pull a lot of bullshit. And what's kind of ironic too is that recently they came out and said that they needed they were accepting hackers to hack into, like, a code, I think. And yet they don't like fan hacks or whatever, or fan ROM hacks. There's a lot of things that's weird with Nintendo as well. Because, like, they were hiring hackers to kind of hack into the code of the 3DS, I think. I don't know. It's so bizarre and weird. And what's kind of weird about this, too, is that... And kind of sad is that companies like Sega and Capcom are willing to hire anybody. Like, they hired those people that were doing the Resident Evil 2 fan game, or remake, and they hired them. They said, do you want to be a part of our team? They said, yeah. They even, they even distributed that Mega Man vs. Street Fighter game. Yeah, they did it because... And even Sega, too. Sega and Capcom have been kind of going downhill as of late in terms of their business. But at the same time, when you have companies that are going downhill, that are actually accepting fan recreations or fan hacks, like Sega hired that Christian, was it Whitehead? I think Christian Whitehead, the guy that made the guy that made basically the Sega Sonic CD and Sonic 1 remake, as well as Sonic 2 remake for the iOS and PC. Well, PC and a console for Sonic CD. And currently, Christian Whitehead's also now working on Freedom Planet 2, as well as Sonic Mania. He's a guy who was basically hacking into like this Sonic games, and he was able to make something that was good, that actually made a lot of classic fans pretty happy, honestly. So honestly, I think it's pretty great that we get, you know, fan hackers and fan game creators to make these games. I don't see why Nintendo doesn't do the same thing. And to be honest, Nintendo's not doing well either. Yeah, I mean, you got someone like Nintendo that's making games like, that are, even like the Switch. The Switch is pretty much their last resort, if anything, because the Wii U failed horribly. I mean, yeah, the Nintendo made a lot of money with the Wii and the DS, and even the 3DS, but the Wii U failed horribly. And if anything, they're basically under their last resort with the Switch. So them making, like, I don't know, them doing this, honestly, is just pathetic. Yeah, sorry for the jump cut. Basically, yeah. So, honestly, Nintendo's been constantly just taking down property. And it worries me because now Mother 4, another fan game that's basically been in production, has also been going on for 5 years. 5 years in the making. And they're basically facing termination too. And a lot of fans have been waiting for a proper Mother sequel. Yeah, and basically the funny thing is, Pokemon is owned by Game Freak, not really Nintendo, and yet Nintendo's the one that's taking it down. Shigesatsu Itoi even said himself that he didn't mind if anybody made a fan game or made a Mother for themselves. But like, he's not really the official, you know, hearsay, or the person who's basically the authority of what goes and what stays. Nintendo's obviously going to take it down. And that's normally what's worrying me. What else is going on today? It just bothers me that people also defend these actions from Nintendo. And then you get people that honestly wonder, like, why a lot of these fan games get taken down. Why a lot of these properties and whatnot are just basically being terminated, because I don't know. I'm just upset because I was waiting so long for that Pokemon Prism game, and it got canned. It got taken down because of Nintendo. What else happened? So, also, in other video game news, to kind of talk about other stuff, Yooka-Laylee's been kind of been on my mind. I'm a backer of Yooka-Laylee. Someone who was actually wanting a proper game sequel, sort of a proper sequel to Banjo-Tooie. And it's just like, with Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, those games are legends, if anything. They pretty much set the bar for a lot of 3D platformers as well. Much like Mario 64. I think they kind of improved Mario 64, or surpassed Mario 64 based on how much story you could put into a game and still have it work. Even Conker's Bad Fur Day did the same thing. Rare was basically like known for just setting the bar for making such successful 3D platformers. Now, of course, there's other 3D platformers that are not so well known, like Ty the Tasmanian Tiger and Croc, Gex, other dead properties that aren't really well known anymore. Now, I would say Bubsy, but of course Bubsy 3D is really infamous for a good reason. Bubsy 1 and 2 are okay. They just have a lot of issues in terms of... They just have certain issues, if anything. games that are pretty much misguided. But when it comes back to like Banjo-Kazooie, I mean, we've been waiting. A lot of people were waiting for games like Banjo-Kazooie to get a sequel, and of course, Rare didn't really offer up on that promise. We got, well, a Banjo-Kazooie game, but it wasn't what a lot of people were wanting or expecting. So Yooka-Laylee kind of is pretty much giving us what we've been wanting for years. And considering a lot of the former people that worked at Rare are now working on Playtonic games, I think honestly this is a good successor. Hopefully it doesn't get delayed constantly again and again like Mighty No. 9 did. Mighty No. 9 was basically mismanaged by both Keiji and Inafune, who, that disappointed me too, as well as a lot of other people, as well as pretty much the company he works at. It was a mismanaged project. If anything, Keiji Inafune did a horrible job on that project, and I kind of hope he improves better on other games, because he's working on games like Red Ash, as well as Recore. From what I understood, Recore is getting a lot of praise from different people. So I hope at least Red Ash gets off the ground and at least is a much better improvement than what pretty much Mighty No. 9 is. He got in over his head. But looking at Yooka-Laylee, it's a perfect rendition of what we wanted. A Banjo-Kazooie-like platformer, pretty much from the ground up. Pretty much giving what we've always wanted. What else? And it got announced to April in April 2017. There's a lot of other things that I'm kind of looking forward to in terms of animated movies. Like, there's that new, what was it, Smurfs movie that's coming out in April 2000. And I don't know when it's coming out in 2017, but it looks much better than the live-action Smurfs movies. I didn't like them very much. I thought they were just ugly looking. And the fact that we got like a proper looking Smurfs movie looks great. Kind of looks something that's more true to the original. I also liked the, what was it? There's, I think, a few Disney movies that are coming out. I think Coco is expected to come out next year, which that's interesting. That's from Pixar. Wreck-It Ralph is also coming out next year. Wreck-It Ralph 2. There's one movie that looks really awful, though, which is the Emoji movie. That looks like a pandering pile of crap, if anything. Just the fact that they have like an emoji based on, crap. And there's like a lot of unfunny jokes I can just foresee coming through this movie. And the fact that it's made by Sony Animation Pictures just kind of disappoints me a little bit. Oh, man. When it comes to animated movies, we have a lot of interesting ideas, like the Lego movie. That was unexpected, but then the Emoji movie? However, Cars 3 surprises me. Because Cars 3 kind of had like that really unexpected dark trailer. And hopefully it looks much better than what Cars 2 was. Pixar is known to kind of branch our expectations. I mean, I didn't expect Finding Dory to be really good, and I liked it a lot, regardless of what anybody else tells me. But Cars 3, man, I don't know. But at the same time, I hope it's good. I also am looking really forward to The Incredibles 2. That looks like a really good movie. Man. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say for today. That's all for my vlog. I'm out.
My name is Scott Joplin. Rag. Rag refers to ragtime. In ragtime, the word that I think came from the fact that it had ragged rhythms. So there it is, ragtime.
Look at this person go.